This presentation will be the overview of a dissertation that I have used in previous assignments for this course that will demonstrate my understanding of the basic structure of a dissertation defense. The dissertation I have chosen is Perceptions of a Middle School Teacher's Experiences with Student-Centered Learning by Lucy Plaisir. This study has been pertinent to my interest for several reasons. First, I currently teach middle school. Secondly, student-centered learning is a very relevant topic in education. Third, for my dissertation topic, I plan to do a qualitative study, and this was an excellent example to use. This dissertation follows the guideline of writing in a natural, understandable style, which allows a reader to maintain interest. The introduction to a study is significant because it presents vital information. It includes a background, the problem statement, the purpose of the study, the research question, the theoretical or conceptual framework, definitions of terms, and the significance of the study. It truly sets the stage for the study. The problem statement was clearly presented by the researcher in the introduction of her study. Plaisir stated, "Teachers are experiencing barriers in implementing student-centered learning strategies consistently to support student learning in Seasons Middle School. Two reasons were also given. Special education teachers are challenged to create lessons, and mainstream teachers are concerned about the technology distractions for students." Included in the introduction of the author's study was the significance of the research. One part was that the examination of teachers' perceptions of the barriers that prevent SCL strategies from being consistently implemented in Seasons Middle School will allow for the identification of techniques that will foster the use of SCL strategies in the classroom. And the second was that the information will help to determine strategies that will enhance optimal learning and development of necessary skills and knowledge for the needs of the 21st century. The research question was presented not long into the introduction to the study. Plaisir stated, "What are middle school teachers' perceptions of the barriers that prevent SCL strategies from being implemented consistently to support students' learning?" This was closely related to the problem statement, and it supports the fact that the researcher will be looking for possible answers to the problem statement and the research question. The literature review allows the researcher to get to the frontier of an area of research and to develop expertise in one's field. The author of this study presented various relevant researchers in the field and followed the guideline of staying within 5 years of the present year to ensure that the material was current. Her focus was on material related to SCL. The research design was an interpretive qualitative design. The researcher chose this because open-ended interviews allowed for interaction with participants where they can share their thoughts and perceptions. This provided in-depth information. Face-to-face interviews also have the benefit of allowing a researcher to establish rapport with participants and gain better cooperation. Plaisir's method included collecting data from participants through interviews with 9 open-ended questions that she had created. The interviews were about 30 minutes long, and they were recorded and transcribed using the Tammy app. Once the interviews were complete, they were returned to participants for validation. The analysis of the data collected was done by using Schlossberg's traditional theory. This allowed the researcher to analyze the data to ultimately find themes. The first step was to use a priori codes, where the 4 S's of situation, self, support, and strategies were used. Those had been embedded in the interview questions. Axial coding was utilized for creating labels for the codes. Similar codes were labeled according to relationship or meaning. Selective coding formed the core of forming categories and identifying themes. An example is this. 12 participants mentioned the need for professional development, so a resulting theme was lack of quality professional development. Since that could help teachers to cope with pedagogical change, It aligned with strategies under Schlossberg's transitional theory. The following slide is the triangulation table that resulted from the data analysis. This slide contains the researcher's table with the triangulation of codes. Note that the names are pseudonyms for the actual participants. On this slide is the researcher's figure that contains the 6 themes resulting from the data collected and categorized. These themes summarize what participants had emphasized during the interview process. These themes also align with the conceptual framework of Schlossberg's transitional theory. The researcher gave a summary of the study's findings in the discussion. She noted that participants were concerned about student inability that impacted the teacher's ability to utilize SCL. Relevant strategies are needed to support the implementation of SCL. Factors that impact SCL are curriculum, testing, tenure, and administrative issues. There were limitations that Plaisir acknowledged in this study. The first was that data was collected by interviews, and this limited the triangulation of data. Another limitation was that the researcher could have brought biases due to their own consistent use of SCL strategies. Participants could have been giving answers based on what they thought the researcher was looking for. Follow-up questions asked by the researcher could have affected participants' replies. The final limitation was the availability of the interviewees. Plaisir recommended that further research should be done that includes teachers with a wide variety of experience. Those should include elementary and high school teachers from various socioeconomic backgrounds, and studies should be conducted at an international level also. Although SCL is necessary and a positive benefit for students, the 6 clear themes that this study identified need to be addressed to improve teachers' ability to implement SCL more consistently in the classroom. These included the lack of quality professional development, students' resistance and inability, pressure from curriculum and testing, a lack of technological resources, overcrowded and noisy classrooms, and teacher problems with relinquishing control. The end result of this study was to provide the areas that a school could address for improvement.